Mic check. Test. Hafaday and Tiro. Buenas everyone. My name is Joe Guerrero and I'm your president for the Saipan Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to our September General Membership Meeting. As I was walking in here, I realized that it's almost the end of the year. So much has occurred and so much has not occurred, right? I mean, if there's one thing that's constant in the cinema is that we're always being kicked around. But me and my wife always accuses me of having rose-colored lenses, but what the heck? I'm always positive, especially positive when this room fills up and you still find value in the chamber. Always positive at this time when the chamber is pleased to dish out scholarships, 18 to be exact, for well-deserving students, our future leaders. I always find great joy in having students come and be a part of this chamber, even if it's just this one time. So let's give a round to all the scholarship applicants and recipients. Thank you for the investment that you're investing in yourself, which in turn is investing in the CNMI. And so, we have business managers here, so feel free to mingle with them, and you may find a future employer right in this room today. I'm also pleased to welcome two of our guest presenters. We have Commissioner of the Public School System. Such good timing to be here with us. Dr. Lawrence Camacho, welcome. Our first presenter as well, we're pleased to have with us Tina Azarvan from Azarvan Tax Law, who will be briefing us on some tax changes with the big beautiful bill, I understand. But welcome and thank you for sharing with us your insights. And at this time, I would like to open the floor for anyone that would like to introduce a guest that they brought with them. So this time you can raise your hand and a mic will magically appear before you. All right, Jim. I would like to recognize Cinema Youth Congress floor leader, Aiden Yumo. Thank you. And last but not least, I'd like to recognize the presence of the media here. As you can see, I feel like I'm at a press conference. I'm about to fight in the UFC in my head. But we have Mariana's Press and NMI News Service. Thank you for your service and for covering this event today. So without further ado, I'd like to hand it off so we can get started. We have two presenters. So I'd like to hand the mic over to Kim Camacho, our Executive Director, to introduce our first presenter. Thank you.
So it's a lot easier to flag people with tax issues and create immigration issues for them as well. And that doesn't only impact the employee, it can also impact the employer as well. So that's why it's so important right now, be mindful more than ever to be proactive if you did misclassify any workers, because generally how people get caught, or not misclassify any workers, but if you didn't, report the FICA as well. There is a voluntary disclosure program on the next slide that, you can disclose to the IRS and settle for as little as 10% of the taxes owed. That is only available if they have not opened up an audit on you at the IRS or Department of Labor. In terms of how this often happens, I'm going to switch to this microphone, might be better. I don't know if I just don't know how to use a microphone. But in terms of misclassification of workers or not having FICA withheld, that's something that generally can be reported to the IRS by the worker. So that's why it's super important to be mindful of that with this new cooperation agreement, and just knowing that USCIS and the IRS are now working more closely together. So definitely be proactive there. And again, this is like the Spark Notes version of this, so we will go more into depth on these issues in the webinar. But in terms of your Social Security benefits, a lot of people out here don't realize that, if you are not just a W-2 employee and you're not filing 1040-SS, that can essentially prevent you from getting your Social Security benefits down the line. A lot of people don't know what Form 1040-SS is, but if you have more than $400 in self-employment earnings during the year, it is something you need to file. So this is how your Social Security benefits are calculated, and if you don't file it, the IRS can file the returns for you and take more severe action against you, including revoking your U.S. passport, levying money from your bank accounts, and there's very, very low compliance rates with Form 1040-SS out here. So don't feel bad if you haven't been doing it, because a lot of businesses have not been filing their Form 1040-SS. Now I feel like this one's not. I don't know how to use the microphone, you guys. This is not something I'm trained on. I'm going to just grab the other microphone so it's still loud. There are some things they can do if you are not filing 1040-SS beyond just taking money out of your bank accounts and your passports. Essentially, here's all the different things they can do. So they can also garnish your wages and any kind of payments you're getting. So let's say you have a tenant paying rent. The IRS can say that rent is now payable to us, or you have a vendor. They can send a letter to the vendor saying, those amounts are now payable to us. So it's not good to bury your head in the sand if you do owe anything. No, there are ways to settle with the IRS, if you are facing financial hardship. The Offer and Compromise program is probably the best one, where there's 4 different types of offers. We're not going to dig into the 4 different types today, but it's, you're offering to settle for a lower amount for meeting, one of the 4 filing criteria. There's also installment agreements and currently non-collectible status, which essentially will have the IRS agree to leave you alone for a period of 2 years, which is renewable. So these are all, again, things we'll touch on more, so I'm not going to go in depth on them today. But just know they are there, and I think this is what I'm kind of trying to zoom through too, is how the Big Beautiful Bill will impact CNMI businesses. One thing to be aware of with the CNMI is it's a mirror code jurisdiction, so that means in general, when federal law or federal tax law is passed, it's going to automatically apply to the CNMI. So the Big Beautiful Bill, that's not something that needs to get ratified on the local level or anything. It's just going to be mirrored. So if you're looking at something and it says U.S. government, you would swap CNMI government for it essentially. So the no tax on overtime, something to be aware of on this is that is not an exemption of FICA tax. It's an income tax deduction for the employee. So there's really no benefit to the employer other than this being a larger incentive of, hey, you don't have to pay income tax on those overtime hours, like why don't you work more? But there's no tax break for the business itself. And this is, again, above the line deduction. So what that means is if you don't meet the requirements to take an itemized deduction, you can still take the deduction. However, the CNMI, you pay a tax on your gross salary. So what that means is this doesn't really matter here. The CNMI kind of got the short end of the stick with this being an above-the-line deduction. Well, that's not the short end of the stick. The short end of the stick is normally the 9% gross, or up to 9% gross on salaries. That is a gross tax, not a net tax. So they're not taking into consideration these deductions. Same thing, tax-free tips. This is a little better where it's still not the same benefit. Out here, you still have the same drawbacks. But they have expanded. What's separate from this is the FICA tip credit. So this used to only be for bars and restaurants. Now it's a lot less limited in terms of industries and business types that can be included. So just be mindful that these two things are different. The FICA tip credit existed before the big beautiful bill. Again, it was just for bars and restaurants, but that's now expanded. But just keeping in mind. And then here are some of the other highlights of the big beautiful bill that are going to be staying. The qualified business income deduction. I hope you guys get the Schitt's Creek reference, otherwise you're not going to understand the meme. But what that is essentially, it's a deduction of 20%. Just, let's say, this example, you earned $10,000, from your side hustle or your regular business, whatever it may be, but you didn't have any expenses. It was $0 of expenses. You could still take a $2,000 deduction. So this is really good for business owners, and this is staying. It is made permanent. So that's one thing I really like from the big beautiful bill. Just kind of going into anyone who has equipment and improvements, you can deduct these amounts immediately. Same with bonus depreciation. That is here to stay, where it's going to be 100% bonus depreciation. That's not going to be forever, but that is here under the big beautiful bill. And this is kind of another little spark notes of some of the pre-Big Beautiful Bill and post-Big Beautiful Bill changes. There are some other nice, add-ons. The auto loan interest if you buy an American-made car, so it has to actually be manufactured in America. But then you can deduct up to $10,000 of interest on. It has to be a new vehicle. It cannot be used, but on a personal vehicle. So, that's something they didn't have before. That is helpful. Obviously, we've touched on tax on tips, overtime pay. How am I doing on time? Am I good? Am I good? Good? Okay, perfect. Because I feel like I'm starting to get there. All right, but these are the spark notes. And we're going to put in the newsletter, it will be next Wednesday. We're going to have a webinar. It will be recorded for anyone not able to attend, but it will be catered towards CNMI businesses and how some of these changes will specifically impact employers and employees alike. And we're also going to dive in more on, making sure you don't have future issues with your Social Security benefits. If you do have any kind of financial hardship, why that's kind of an opportunity to settle your tax debt right now through an offer. And then we're going to touch a little more on USCIS and just making sure that, if you have CW workers, that you are being compliant there. And then just preparing for the end of the CW program since it is scheduled to end for 2029, and just making sure there's not these little lingering tax issues that's going to create issues with citizenship and everything. So again, that's going to be in the newsletter. Hopefully you learned something. I know it's a short version, but I try to make it as quick as possible. But yeah, thanks guys. No more tax talk.
Give her a round of applause. All right. Next up, we have another member presentation by CNMI Public School System with Dr. Lawrence Camacho to talk about K-12 college and career connected systems. Let's give them a round of applause.
Good afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and, where's the clicker? Because if I start talking and thinking at the same time, I am going to just mess it all up. So I have with me this afternoon, by the way, really happy to welcome all of you. It's great to see all of you. With me, I have Dr. Jessica Taylor, who is the director of our Career Technical Education program out of our Office of Curriculum and Instruction at PSS. Also with me, I decided to invite a couple of students, and so we have Mr. Aiden and first one is another student. We have two students from the CNY Public School System. I am again Lawrence Camacho, the Commissioner of Education, as I work my way backwards towards this podium here to do the presentation. But I'm honored to be in front of you and report back to the chamber as I did when I first arrived here last year to take on this calling of being the Commissioner of Education. I reported to the chamber on where PSS was at the time, serving about 8,000 to 9,000 students with 20 school campuses, 10 head start centers across 3 different islands, and about 1,200 plus employees in our system. And really just proud to announce to you that at that point last year we were developing a strategic master plan for the direction of where we want to go in the next 5 years. And here we are, a year later, I'm reporting back to this chamber on something that I think is exciting for us as a school district. And it is really what connects to you all as industry partners and leaders out there in the community. And so I'm here to report to you on our initiative on the K through 12 college and career connected system. We want to be that district that really identifies students that, not identifies students, but watches and guides our students all along from the moment they enter into our learning spaces as kindergartners all the way up to 12th graders. When they graduate, we want to make sure that they are prepared to be college and career and life ready students. And you'll hear about this thing called the Portrait of a Graduate, which is something that I introduced to the chamber last year. So next slide. I'm going to talk really fast because I have a video to share with you on what it is that on how it is that we're striving towards that. But right now we'll talk about why this matters. So that is our why, and then what it is that we're trying to do, and then hopefully get some questions from you and we'll be able to answer them. Next slide. So it matters because there's a lot of great need in a 21st century workforce for this rapidly changing universe that we operate in. And then also employers are reporting. I did a research during my doctoral dissertation, and what I found out was a lot of industry and employers are saying that we're producing a lot of great, talented, skilled workers, but they lack the soft skills. So that's why this also matters, is to develop those soft skills for our students. And then of course we're preparing early so that we're ensuring that the students are ready for the workforce and could be successful as they grow into the societal needs, at least for the Commonwealth. So next slide. 3 things: high cognitive, social, emotional, and technological. Those 3 buckets, if you will, are really kind of like the things that we're finding out through research of where really this next generation of leaders, problem solvers, and designers are going to be ending up into. And when we graduate them, we want to make sure that we're focusing them on these buckets as well in terms of industry. And I'll tell you what the subgroups are of these buckets. But the thing is, we want to make sure that they're prepared for that, right? So we're going to watch them grow from the moment, again, they're in kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. Next slide. High cognitive, that just means that literacy is important, obviously, for writing, critical thinking, the quantitative, and then knowing statistics for these type of careers in the healthcare, the business industry, the finance, the research, engineering, a lot of these things, almost all of these things we need here in the Commonwealth. Next slide. Social emotional, obviously, for business development, programming, healthcare, education, counseling, all those require a lot of these advanced skills in communication, empathetic type of thinking, social emotional, and being adaptable and having the ability to learn even more, right? To learn to grow as a lifelong learner. Next slide. And then on the technology, can't emphasize much more than what we have here, and you see this slide here, and it talks about the careers, but here's the bottom line. Go to the next slide, please. The bottom line is we have 8,000 to 9,000 students, right? 8,000 plus students. Those are all developing and are getting ready for the future, for the workforce. there are hundreds of jobs out there that are not even existing. They don't even exist. But those students right now will be jumping into those hundreds of jobs that do not exist today. So what we need is to be really kind of clearly getting more defined opportunities that we're able to use to prepare these students for those non-existent jobs, if you will, that they would aspire to. I always say this. I have a 5-year-old granddaughter. Her 7-year-old sister says she will be a doctor one day when she grows up. In the hospital, when I was asking the 5-year-old whether or not she too would be a doctor one day, she says no, she wants to be a YouTuber. And a 5-year-old only wants to be a YouTuber already. Next slide. But there's a plethora of stuff out there that says if we connect industry to the learning and the cognitive development of our students, they will be much more successful. And I'll tell you about this portrait of a graduate. So I just alluded to that there is this framework that we're developing, and it's almost done, by the way. If you can imagine the pipeline, students come in from K, and then first to third, learning to read, learning to count, and then from third on up to 12, reading to learn, and then counting to learn even more. And along the way, we're kind of making them explore and be excited about various industries that they should be falling into in terms of their strengths, weaknesses, and all that they have as they develop their cognitive abilities, right? So we're looking at the academic excellence and the career exploration with real-world opportunities. We're going to call this, we're calling it the continuum, what is it, Dr. Taylor? Continuum of experiences that we have along the way. So every elementary school in the elementary level category would have the continuum of experiences that they would have to include in their curriculum for the students that grow in the elementary level. As they advance into the middle school level, they would have the middle school, not the pathways, but exploration type of opportunities, and all the middle schools will have those geared on to explore. They would be feeding into what the high schools would have, and in the high schools we will have academies. Every high school will have an academy or two, and every academy or two will have pathways or 2 or 3 pathways underneath them. That is the type of district that we want to be. I know that for a fact in Guam, the Department of Education there, they have one high school that has been recognized as an academy type of high school with pathways in them. Here in the CNMI, we want to be a district that will be recognized with all of our high schools with academies and pathways, and in the middle schools feeding on to that because we prepare our students, and then in the grade school levels, we're preparing them, and all of them are organized in this fashion. That's why it's going to be a framework, not just hodgepodge of every school doing what they want to do. Okay, so that's kind of like the thing here. So we want to make sure, and because when we graduate, we want to have this type of graduate. One who is competent in the citizenship category, the cultural awareness. I just spoke to a radio station this morning, or a show this morning about cultural awareness. Critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity. All of those would develop that type of graduate right there. And when they leave our high schools, they will be very well prepared. Is it? Did you say 60 seconds is all I have left? Or am I 60 seconds in? We just have a quick video. We just have a quick video that we want to present, and then I'll move on, okay? The next slide, please. So key components, area exposure, pathways in the middle school, I just explained that. And then we want you, and you're already doing it for us. You're inviting our students to enter into your workplace environment so that they can learn and develop those soft skills, and then eventually be college ready. We're working with NMC, we're working with UOG on dual credit type we already have those, but we're strengthening the dual credit type programs that we have. Next slide. Okay, so career direction, engaging, relevant, industry recognized, competitive edge. Next slide, please. Now, before we show this video, I just want to say that this is what we strive to. We invited Dr. Steele, who was here on island for about 2 weeks last month, when we started off developing the framework. And we've been developing the framework ever since last year and the year before. But now is the time. We have this expert. He's a globally and nationally renowned expert on developing high schools with academies and pathways. And what he did was he showed us this video, and I said, that's what we will be, and that's what we're going to strive to be. So I want to share this with you so it'll give you context. As you watch it though, I would ask that you think about where you find yourself fitting into this to be able to help us and support us in our endeavor. Where do you fit, and what would your role be? Because at the end of the day, we're going to call ourselves to action for this type of initiative. Next, let's go ahead. It's only 6 minutes.
The academies of Nashville are really on the cutting edge of what's happening in education.
One of the things that stands out to me is how many other schools around the country are trying to figure out how to implement the academy model that we have already had in place for 10 years.
We saw the academy model as a real opportunity to truly transform education and make it more authentic and real for students.
I'm learning what I want to learn, so I'm in class, I'm more focused, I get to do what I want to do and have fun with it at the same time.
Opportunities like audio production, aviation, engineering, pilot classes, things like that you don't get in a traditional high school. Introduction to the Academy starts in 9th grade. Through the freshman seminar class, students learn a lot about who they are, as well as what their interests and aptitudes are. Students then go on a college visit, so they don't only see what it's like to be on a college campus, but also what it feels like in the college experience. Additionally, students participate in a career fair where they get to connect with, learn from, and engage with employers from a variety of industries across our city. Students will then use these experiences to choose their program of study. Think of it like choosing a major in college. This is the area that students will get a deep dive in over the next 3 years of their high school experience.
Everything from the medical sciences to engineering to mechatronics, anything that is high demand in our area provides students with opportunities for employment at a much faster and higher rate than their peers who do not get to experience the academies and understand what's available to them in the area.
Each academy is made up of a team of teachers dedicated solely to their academy. So students are surrounded by a group of caring adults from various content areas, whether that's English, math, or social studies.
My least favorite class is physics, but when it's taught through the lens of audio production, it helps me to remember and it helps me understand and look just a little bit better.
Over 150 businesses are represented, and it's so successful we even have private schools asking to participate.
In 10th grade, now that students have chosen their pathway, they begin learning about that pathway by participating in industry-related field trips. For example, students may go into a hospital and learn about all the different opportunities available in healthcare. Or they could go out to an active job site where they see firsthand how engineers and contractors work together to build bridges, roads, buildings, you name it. In the 11th grade, students continue to experience what it's like to be in an industry or career of their interest. Unlike the 10th grade year, where students do a field trip aligned to their pathway, in the 11th grade, they have an opportunity to have a one-on-one experience in those businesses. Students see what a day in the life is like of those employees, which may be over a series of days, weeks, or months.
They begin to come in now and take out one aspect of the work, and they're actually going to go in and work with a leader and start doing productivity, start working with their hands and seeing how work is really done.
Think of the 12th grade as a culminating experience where students are taking what they've learned from 9th grade all the way up to their senior year to participate in either a capstone experience or our career practicum. Through the capstone experience, students identify, design, and research a topic within a career of their interest. They then present their results to our business partners and receive feedback.
We plan to build a hydrogen truck, a hydrogen tractor, a 40-panel solar farm, and a hydrogen generator. These will be used to help in our community garden that we run.
Through the career practicum, students can earn while they learn, participating in paid internships. Students apply for jobs in which they meet the prerequisites from their learning experiences since 9th grade. They are interviewed and they are offered job positions where they are working directly with employers. In doing so, they are creating a pipeline that will lead them to college and further career readiness. we recognize that students' interests may change. Students can change their academy or pathway one time during their academy experience. If a student is interested in a pathway that is not offered at their school, they can exercise school option to attend a high school that offers a pathway that is more aligned with their interests.
Okay, so thank you for your attention to that video. Hopefully that would bring some context to what we're trying to really gonna get to in the public school system. But really the pipeline, I'm always referring back to the pipeline. It is very, very important that we know, and I know as an educator, that it's this pipeline that we're really kind of making sure is the best that it could be for our students. Otherwise, we're not there to just, get our students to the classroom and teach them and then be done with it. We have to do it the right way. Doing it the right way is making sure that the pipeline is one that motivates our students, that builds their self-efficacy, motivates them to learn, right? And then they build that self-efficacy, and when the more they become competent, the more they become confident to talk about the type of things that they're excited about to be one day. And then it will reduce all of these things for us as we try to get into the economy. So, next slide. What I'm asking is that, and a lot of you already have partnered with us, will continue to partner with us. We appreciate that. We thank you. We're so grateful for you being part of our learning process, teaching and learning process in the system. But we want to make sure that, because last month we had Dr. Still here, and for a week, 2 weeks, I think almost, we were developing this framework together with all of our principals from the elementary, from the middle school, from the high school. We were segmenting them so that they were also collaborating together with industry partners, mind you, in the mix. We really appreciate that because it really is important that we work together, because ultimately, when we're ready to pilot this next school year, we would need you to become part of our advisory council to guide us in whatever pathways we want. So think of it this way. We have 6 high schools in the Commonwealth. 4 on Saipan, 1 on Tini, and 1 on Rhoda. Every one of those will have academies, or an academy, and then under that would be pathways. They've already started, since our work a couple months ago, started to select what academies they want, and then started putting together the pathways. And then the continuum of activities feed into the high school, and then it reverts back down to the middle school, and then into the elementary school. So the student journeying through the northern cluster, the central cluster, the southern cluster, or Saipan, Rhoda or Tini would have that set of guidance, right? So when they get into high school, they're excited to become who they want to become when they graduate. When we welcome them into our freshman academy, we're going to make them feel and know their strengths and explore that type of career that they're excited for. And then we will get them into a pathway under whatever academy. And when they're in that academy pathway, they will get so connected to that, and so that they then would do the best that they could do in all the other subjects that they're learning, so they can then ultimately achieve that dream of theirs of whatever career that they want to be in. Does that make sense? I don't know if it makes sense to you, but it makes a lot of sense to me that we have to do it right. And I think this is one of the right ways of doing it for our students. So thank you for your attention. What's the next slide? Together we can build a future-ready CDMI workforce, employers communities. It is really, the bottom line is college-ready, career-ready, and life-ready. Ultimately, that portrait of a graduate, I think, would have all those competencies of all those students, and they become better leaders, problem solvers, and designers of our future. Thank you, and good afternoon.
We can take a few questions, starting with...
No budget questions. That's for tonight and tomorrow night. Just kidding. Throw whatever.
Okay. This is very exciting conversation, talking about getting the CNMI's workforce and what the public school system is doing. But there's something that I want to bring into the conversation, and I've always been searching about financial literacy initiatives within the public school system and within the private. And all of these qualities that we're talking about is great, having the portrait of a graduate of the Commonwealth. But what we're finding in our community is that financial literacy is a huge gap. When we talk about, futuristically speaking, of developing our human capital into a life-sustaining skill, we talk about soft skills today, but what about the hard skills that they need longevity-wise? Tina earlier talked about producing income of $400, and you have to report that as an entrepreneur or a sole proprietor to IRS and pay your taxes, right? At the age of 14 in the Commonwealth or in federal law, you can start working. And many of our children, I ran a federal program, and even teaching them the very basics of understanding how to read a payroll and why FICA tax is important, why Medicare is important, and why that is a law. Because when we talk about it today, at the age of 14, when they started working, by the time they reach 62, that's a lifetime skill. So what are we doing? It's a question really within the system itself, not just the public school system, but generally the entire Commonwealth, even in the government. Employees are part of the DC plan, our defined contribution program. But how many of our people truly understand how to read their portfolios and what are they investing in? And this is where the component that I'm looking for, I was researching for this kind of conversation of how do we fold financial literacy initiative within the curriculum of the Commonwealth, where we educate our workforce to build upon our human capital, but truly giving them financial security and stability long term.
Yes, ma'am. So, literacy, by the way, is a form of knowing how to read and write, how to be competently successful in life, using those skill sets for reading and writing, right? Really, that's a general basic term of literacy. But then you can take that and apply it to financial literacy and all the other types of things that our students can develop in a cognitive way to become whatever. But those are, which by the way, I just want to report since we're talking about literacy, and I'm saying it so many times. In our reading literacy, we as a school district have performed 17% higher this last school year than the year before in reading across the district, from K all the way through 12th grade. In math, so that's the county literacy, we have performed 7%. We've gone up 7% in math from K all the way through 12 as a district. So that's, we assess the literacy performances of our students when it comes to reading and math. We're going to do it with culture. And thank you for bringing up financial literacy, because you're absolutely right. There's some problems that we're identifying, and students are coming back saying, I have no idea how to write a check or whatever. But we're going to integrate in our continuum of experiences. They will have financial literacy even at the lowest grade level. Believe it or not, and I know that maybe some schools are doing it. I went to San Vicente Elementary School last year. I visited. And the second graders, I don't know what they were, I didn't ask for what the class was being, the lesson that was being taught that day, but the principal introduced me as a commissioner, and students were like, oh, wait a minute, we thought the principal was their boss, blah, blah, blah. And then they said, well, wait a minute, if you're her boss, the principal makes a lot of money, what do you make, And then the even funnier question they asked was, how much interest do you get in the bank? I was like, what are we teaching our second graders, right? It's like amazing what you learn from these kids. And I just love going to the schools and watching the students, because when I look into their eyes, they always have a story to tell. They always have something to teach us, and they always have a dream to share with us. And we want to make sure that we're thinking it that way, but we absolutely have answered that, and we're integrating a lot of financial literacy in our classroom space from elementary, middle, and high school. Really, this is my tennis elbow skill.
Yes. Thank you for sharing your plans. I remember about a year ago or so you were discussing this portrait of a learner, and still was vague at the time, right? But now it all makes sense. We're excited for what you're doing. My question is the EDA and HUD funded training center at the NHS. How does that fit into this priority?
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. So it does fit really right into this, because as we were developing, and we asked Marianne Science, because it is built for that particular high school, the largest school in our district. Mariana High School right now has enrolled about 1,600 students, I think, this year. But they produce, and then they're so vast and diverse in the way the students think and where they want to go. But that CTE, that Career Technical Education Center that we just did groundbreaking for last week, thanks to EDA, CBDG, HUD, FEMA, everyone contributing together with this beautiful idea that Mr. Tim Tarver, former federal programs officer, and Dr. Rita Sablan at the time was commissioner, who went up and proposed to the planning agency, development agency at the governor's office on what to do, and they envisioned the CTE, the Career Technical Education Center, that is now being built as we speak, will house the 4 pathways that Mariana High School has decided to choose, and they will be teaching 16 different courses in that center. And it goes all the way from culinary to hospitality to IT to automotive, and also even like the music industry, production, and all that type of stuff. So very great and great initiative, and thank you for bringing it up and reminding me to share with the community here.
You can actually hit on it right at the end, because I was going to ask about the nature of vocational education, because when I came in as a vocational education teacher, we had programs, and gradually we've had some changes, and whether it's Trades Institute, but a lot of the new jobs in the states available are in the trades. We don't have, you have 5 HVAC guys retiring in their 50 and one coming in. And we struggled with that here, is finding people trained in areas. And so this is kind of your answer, what you're saying, to address those who do not plan on college but want to go into the trades.
Yes, sir. It is exactly that. We want them to be ready to go to college, a career, straight into a career, or to a technical. And I just love the fact that I love our brothers and sisters at Northern Rose College and at Tech, and they're here. But I want to give a plug out to them, for them, because they're really intentional when it comes to micro-credentialing and certification of students, because a lot of the employers don't have time for the very talented students to come into the workforce, because it'll take 4 years to get a degree or whatever the case may be. But they can take the students in, get them started, and those students are going back and getting those micro-credentials that are stackable towards a matriculated type of degree. And we've been having this type of conversation with our partners at higher education, post-secondary institutions, Northern College and Tech, and it's just a wonderful thing. We want our pipeline and our portrait of graduates to fit right into their pipe as well, into their institution. So yes, vocational education, by the way, used to be the word. Now it's called career technical education, because it's more than just the actual trades with hands-on. It's all the other cognitive type of traits. But Google's and Amazon's of the world, be ready, because we have NMC and NMTech taking over to make sure that our kids are prepared for it.
One more question.
So you mentioned the pathways that MHS has chosen, and they are the same courses that are offered at NMTech. So how will this program work? Like, does it coincide with NMTech? Does it support NMTech? And then my second question is, you're asking for partners. We're a very small community of resources, so we get those requests in business from NMTech, from NMC, from labor. So how do we stretch ourselves so that we can participate in all these programs?
We'll just have side meetings and see what you, honestly, I really need to understand your capability and then be able to ask in the right way what we would need from you. But I'm just asking in general terms, partnering together to have us fulfill this, I think is going to be a great start for all of us. But yeah, I would love to have an office call with you to sit down and kind of clarify this more. You clarify your part, and then together we'll build something. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Now we move on to our scholarship ceremony
ceremony section of our event, introducing our 2025 scholarship recipients for fall 2025. At this moment, I would like to invite our esteemed SCC Board of Directors up to the stage. Our Executive Director, Kim Camacho. Our wonderful 2025 Edward Scholarship Committee members, Chair Merslin Palek, Co-Chair Benjamin Babauta, and panel member Primaria Aldon. Northern Marianas College Acting President, Ms. Patricia Pullman. NMTech CEO, Ms. Jodina Attal. And Dr. Taylor, PSSCTE Director, to present our scholarship recipients.
We have something to showcase of our scholars, so if I could just ask everyone to just give a little bit of a space to the screen. Wait, don't be scared of our board. Someone this side? No? Okay, all right. Proceed, Ray.
Okay, and now I would like to call up to the stage first the NMC scholars. So as you enter this, as you get up to the stage, kindly shake the hands of the dignitaries and then pause for a quick photo op. So coming first, we have Nelson Isaac Akaba, who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College, pursuing his AS in Natural Resource Management.
Can I have my dignitaries next to Mr. Nelson here for a quick photo op? Okay, one more. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay, for NMC. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Good job. Thank you.
Christelle Ananizo, who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College, pursuing her AA in Liberal Arts with an emphasis in kinesiology. Jadine S. Calvo, who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College, pursuing her AA in Liberal Arts. Zunika Castro, who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College, pursuing her BS in Education, Rehab, and Human Services. Unfortunately, Zunika is unable to join our ceremony today. Nonetheless, we still wanted to commend her for this great accomplishment. Next, Harley D. Erich, who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College, pursuing his BS in Education, Elementary Education concentration. Kim, who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College, pursuing her AA in Liberal Arts with an emphasis in kinesiology. Hyena is not present today. Nonetheless, wanted to commend her for this great accomplishment. Fei Lei, who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College, pursuing her BS in Education, Elementary Education concentration. Jaren Allen Babauta Lufoyfoy, who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College, pursuing his AA in Liberal Arts with an emphasis in education. Who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College on the path of becoming an educator. Brianna Sue L. Mafnas, who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College, pursuing her AA in Liberal Arts with an emphasis in education and her BS in Education, Elementary Education. Martine S. Mariano, who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College, pursuing her AA in Liberal Arts with an emphasis in kinesiology and nursing. Miley Peter, who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College, pursuing an AA in Liberal Arts. Unfortunately, Miley is unable to join our ceremony today. Nonetheless, we wanted to commend her for this great accomplishment. Chelsea Ann P. Rages, who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College, pursuing her AS in Natural Resource Management. Ryan Jadell A. Russell, who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College, pursuing her BS in Education, Rehab, and Human Services. Sylvia Ledesma Sanchez, who is currently attending the Northern Marianas College, pursuing her AA in Liberal Arts with an emphasis in social work and BS in Education, Rehab, and Human Services. Thank you and congratulations to our NMC Scholarship recipients. Moving on, we will be introducing the 2025 Pellegrino recipients from the Northern Marianas Technical Institute, NMTech. I would like to invite to the stage Juan Carlos Calvo, who is attending trade school at the Northern Marianas Technical Institute and is studying trade in carpentry. Isaiah Thomas Itubus, who is attending trade school at the Northern Marianas Technical Institute and is working towards a certification in heavy equipment operations. Lodell Marian L. Calejo, who is currently attending trade school at the Northern Marianas Technical Institute and is studying trade in baking and pastry. Thank you and congratulations to our NM Tech scholarship recipients. But before we conclude the segment, I kindly request all the scholars to come forward for a quick photo op.
But before that,